Welcome back to Approach the Climb, the podcast where we talk about real stories, strategies, and insights to help you on your personal climb to success. If you haven't already, go and check out our website. It's approachtheclimb.com. You can read our blog there, you can check out our podcast, and you can check out the new sticker that we have available inside of our store. So make sure you don't miss that. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel or left us a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify, please go and do those things because your support literally means the world to me. Today, I am so excited because we have two of my favorite people on the podcast. With 23 years of combined fitness and nutrition experience, Bridgett and Christian are going to share with us their insights on mindset and environment and how those are crucial when you're trying to better your life, especially in fitness and nutrition. So with that being said, make sure you share this out to a friend that you think needs to hear it and enjoy the show. Bridgett and Christian, thank you all so much for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
Thanks for having us, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So before we get started with any of the in-depth questions about the Fight Like Hell fitness community and the first format, the things that you do, I always like to ask people what's a fun fact about themselves. And so I know you already filled out the questionnaire beforehand, but Bridgett, you said that you hated coaching on nutrition. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I've been doing personal and group training now for 13 years, I believe. And unfortunately, I was the trainer who would say, listen, I will kick your ass left, right, upside down, all the things when it comes to fitness, but don't ask me about nutrition. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I am not a nutrition coach. If you're looking for that, you have to look elsewhere. And quite frankly, it was because I wasn't willing to change my own eating habits. I was still young and able to out-train my bad diet. So I wasn't willing to lead from the front and take that part on. So I was always and looking back, I'm really kind of sad because I did a disservice to my clientele at the time because I really could have given them a whole hell of a lot more.
Yeah, I think, and a big thing that I've just learned from you all is that fitness and nutrition go so hand in hand. So, but just like you, like I still feel like I am struggling on the nutrition side a little bit. Like I've went through the phase of like I know what to eat now, but it's like I'm all in kinda, but I still have those beliefs sometimes where I'm like I can go back to that and be perfectly fine. But I'm not 18 anymore. So
yeah, I was the trainer that would get done with a class or a personal training client, and I would be in the McDonald's drive-thru or at the gas station and picking up every single type of gummy worm, gummy bear, whatever it might be. I mean, I was exactly what I shouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's so funny. And, I think it's cool to see how you've grown from that. I've only known you when you've done the fitness and nutrition together and inside the community. I think everyone there would also say thank you for opening back up in that and just being able to provide the information that you provide to us and being that coach. So thank you.
Absolutely. You bet.
And then Christian, you said you didn't play any sports or anything, which when you said you didn't play any sports or anything like that in high school, I was like, well, there's no way. But then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I could probably beat Christian one-on-one in basketball. But
you could. You absolutely could.
I fucking suck. I suck at basketball. I'm going to be honest.
I beat him in one-on-one.
Yeah. I'm not a basketball guy.
That's so funny. But you did say you skateboarded. So how did you get into that? And
yeah, man. So in high school, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't, into sports or anything like that. It was like I started skateboarding, in like middle school and stuff like that. It was kind of like a hobby of mine. Never really got, serious to the point where I wanted to, or got sponsored or anything. I wasn't that good. I was just mostly like interested in it because it was like something active, right? And obviously it ties in now because I could look back and be like, I wanted to be active in that way. But, if I were to look back at the old me and say, hey, did I think I was going to be where I'm at now? Absolutely not. Right. I think the skateboarding was just like a little pastime that I had and nothing serious about it. And it's something I did in high school. And I'm actually glad I did it, to be honest with you. So kept me out of trouble, some trouble.
I saw that look that Bridgett just gave you like the
some trouble. Looking back, honestly, like I wish I would have played more sports, right? Because of the discipline aspect of keeping you in line and you have something to commit to. You have something to do after school. I grew up with a couple people that actually played sports, and they always had that discipline to show up to practice and have those commitments after. I didn't have that, right? So like unknowingly I was committing to the little skateboard side thing that I had going on. But other than that, man, like again, it was more of a pastime. I wasn't pro or searching to be pro. It was just like, hey, let's hang out with some buddies and friends and go to different skate parks and stay out of trouble.
Yeah. And I think, thinking about sports and skateboarding and all that kind of stuff, one of the things that you mentioned also in the questionnaire that you sent in was about changing your environment. And so I think looking at sports and things like that, I played sports in high school, and I'm so thankful that I did, because like having that team aspect and understanding of just like listening to somebody give you instructions, like it could have been a good coach, bad coach, whatever, at the end of the day, he's the coach and you're the player. So, and
I think, like people that know me from middle school, high school, right? I don't think they'd recognize that. Like I've changed a lot, right? In so many ways, from, my appearance to, the stuff that I, do now is completely different. So, it's cool to look back at my old self and realize that, hey, I didn't play those sports. I didn't have those commitments. I didn't commit to any of that stuff. Right. But I still, took something out of that, I was lacking and turned it into something,
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. And, for both of you, and I've talked about this on previous podcasts, for those of you that have listened to our other episodes, I think I've mentioned the Fight Like Hell fitness community in almost every single episode so far.
Right.
But Bridgett and Christian, thank you both for starting that. I mean, just giving people a place to feel welcome, to gain information and knowledge and encouragement and motivation. I mean, I've been in some different groups and things like that, but I think is something special about the group you all have created. So thinking about that group, what was the motivation for you all to start that? And, if somebody wanted to join, what's something that they could expect from that?
The motivation for Fight Like Hell Fitness, he actually came up with the name, and I stole it from him. And I started it, 2.5 years ago now. I have always done personal group training since I graduated college. I did play college softball. I was that high school athlete that went on. And much like that community, that team, that family environment you get through sports, I know how hard it can be when you no longer have that team sport to show up to, especially being a has-been athlete. And starting with coaching through the First Form app, it's expected that you kind of create an environment for your people that you are coaching. So they said, this is a great way to do it is through Facebook, and get a way that is a virtual platform for individuals to come and share and create and just feel welcome in something. And for me, being a past athlete, knowing how much it does mean to have somebody else there for you, we understand that no matter what, you're not always going to have a cheerleader. It's not always going to be somebody else cheering you on or a teammate slapping your ass to keep you going. But when you need it, that teammate is there. And that's what I wanted to create with Fight Like Hell Fitness within our community is, listen, this is your journey, but that doesn't mean it has to only be your journey and you have to do it alone. And that's why I wanted to create that environment and get that going.
Yeah. Yeah. To kind of tie into that, it was kind of one of those, situations where, there's a lot of people out there that don't have, a supportive significant other or family members or any of that stuff. Right. So we wanted to create a space where people could, relate to other people that are going through that journey, right? Have a resource and be able to reach out in there and say, hey guys, what are you guys doing on the days that, are tough, right? What are you guys doing when you guys travel? Hey, I'm going through this, right? Mentally, physically, whatever it is, like some kind of place to come to and say, okay, cool. I feel, like I could ask these questions here because I don't have that support. Right. So just, being around like-minded individuals that are going through the same journey is like something that we wanted to create because it's a good resource for everybody. So, there's some people that are really, really engaged in there, and there's some people that, are kind of behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, like, and everybody in there is for this, the same journey. So we wanted to create that for those people to have a place to come and communicate.
Yeah. And that encouragement can be for the good days, for the bad days. Every Wednesday, we always do a wins day, whether it's physical, emotional, lifestyle, family, career, whatever it is, we share like, how are your weeks going? What is it this week that you just absolutely killed at? And how does that make you feel, kind of a thing? And then we just cheer each other on and help each other through those, like obviously we created this community, but without people like you and all of those in the community, we wouldn't have what we do. So we created the space, but we're not the ones who keep it alive. And without y'all, we wouldn't have it. So thank you so much for all you guys do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the huge shout out to everybody in that community, because if I'm ever like feeling down or if I need something, I know that community's there. I know I'm taking a little bit of a break from Facebook right now, which I can't wait to get back soon. And literally one of the reasons is because of like the Facebook group and just seeing things that happen in there. So I think just knowing that place is there for encouragement, for the hard days, for the good days, and like there's no judgment, right? It's like everyone there is trying to work and be a better version of themselves. And that can look really messy at times. Like when I first joined the group, like I was, 300 pounds, like eating disgusting foods all the time. And, it wasn't like I joined there and I was like, oh my gosh, like everybody in here looks like Bridgett and Christian and they're all ripped and like they have it all together. Like it's
Right.
full of people that struggle too and that don't all look the same. And it's just one thing that I love about it. It's opened up, no judgment, encouraging, like get after it type of community. So
yeah.
And just as a caveat, Christian and I have not always looked the way we do either. We've had our own journeys. So it's taken a long time and a lot of discipline to get where we currently are. So the options and possibilities are endless.
Yeah. So like on top of that, we've gone through the journey. You said it, Josh, like everybody's going through different journeys, right? Some people are just starting, some people are, where they want to be, and some people are still constantly working, right? We're always constantly, chasing, that whatever it might be, right? Everybody's journey is a little bit different. But we didn't, like she said, we didn't always, eat right. We didn't always work out all the time. Like we didn't always do other things, right? But one of the things is like that we try to kind of provide in that space as far as like the app and the, community that we have is, hey, we've kind of gone to the top of the mountain here. So we can kind of see from up there what you guys are going through. So I'm going to make this a little bit easier for you, right? That those struggles that you're going to hit that you don't see yet, right? I'm going to tell you exactly how to get over those because I was there, right? So those are the things that we always, talk with most of the people that we work with and tell them like, hey, we've been through this journey because we started where you were, right? And we're here, right? And most people look at us and they're like, oh yeah, we're invincible. We're not, right? We all went through that. So if we can help everybody, realize that the path is not easy, it's never going to be easy, but we can, be there to help you guys because we've experienced that. I think that's the ultimate goal there. That's how we can actually help those people.
And sometimes we have to kind of let you trip on that boulder to also learn that life lesson. Because if we are not learning our own lessons through this journey, whether it be the good way or the bad way, sometimes we just don't get that lesson. So we might be able to say, hey, you're about to hit a boulder, and it's up to that individual to say, am I going to go left or am I going to go right? Or am I going to go right through this boulder? So we try to help you prepare for those life lessons. And sometimes we've been there. We've been told a million times, do this. And we're like, I know better. I'm going to try this. And through that, you've learned. So that's what we really enjoy being a part of and seeing, people do even fall on their face when they're like, listen, like I learned a lesson here. And it's never failure. It's okay. So obviously that didn't work. How do we become better because of it?
Yeah, I think one of the things, and Christian, you mentioned this, is the First Form app. And, knowing that the Facebook community is there for people to hit these, that are going to hit these struggles, that are on their journey. Also, alongside of that is getting to work with one of you one-on-one inside of the First Form app. It's $12.99 a month. You can download the app. You can get in there and get linked up with Bridgett or Christian as your fitness and nutrition coach. I think for me, that's kind of where I met you all. I met Christian, which it's funny. I went to the 75 Hard Facebook group when I was doing 75 Hard. I had downloaded the app and I was looking for somebody to be my coach. And I actually just searched in the 75 Hard search bar. I didn't even post. I searched on somebody else's. And I don't remember if it was you, Christian, that commented on somebody's post, or I think it might have been. And I saw you there and I was like, it was the first one I saw. I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to this dude because I know that I need help. And it seems like he's like ready and willing to help people. And now getting to know both of you, I know that both of you are like that. You want to see people be the best version of themselves and learn their own lesson, but also make sure that you're guiding them on that. And aside from the community, the First Form app has been a huge part of my journey, and just having all the tools that it has inside of there. And you both are fitness and nutrition coaches inside of there. So maybe talk a little bit about the app and what your role inside the app is if somebody were to work with you one-on-one.
Yeah, so obviously the app is the tool that we use in order for us to connect with our clients, right? When it comes to nutrition, this is where you track your food. This is where you can get workouts. This is where, you could track your progress as far as weight, pictures, all that stuff. So what we do in there is we connect with you. We are your advisor. We are your coaches. So what we do is we come up with a plan. We talk about your goals. We talk about, struggles that you've had in the past, and we kind of see where you're at. We kind of meet you where you're currently at, right? And set a game plan in order for you to start heading the right direction that you want. So within the app, we could communicate with you, through messages and stuff like that. But what we essentially do is we basically, hold your hand while you're going through this. And it's something that I wish I had back when I started, because it was like, this did not exist, right? There was nothing like this. And if I would have had somebody, like Bridgett or myself or somebody, actually giving me the information that I give my clients, I would have been, I would have cut my results time in half, right? I would have, been to where I wanted to be a lot faster, right? I wouldn't have gone through those growing pains by somebody actually teaching me like exactly what I needed to know. But now we're able to do that for our clients, right? Because we've been there. So this is to me, it's like an invaluable tool to use, because you actually get somebody, right? Like the last thing you want to do is call a freaking call center and you get the automated voice message where it's like,
press 1 if you want.
Yeah, it's like some serious shit, right? Like, this is like, as soon as somebody downloads that app, guess what? I'm sending them an actual message, right? A video message, and it's a real person that you can actually connect with and say, hey, like this person understands my feelings, right? They understand exactly what I'm going through. And it's not some automated crap. So that, I think, to me, that's the best part. But we're able to coach those people within the app and teach them everything that we know about nutrition and fitness, and in hopes that they take everything as a tool and they apply it to their daily life, right? Sometimes it takes a long time, right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of, saying the same thing over and over and over and over, but we're showing people exactly what the game plan is. No secrets, right? This is what you have to do. And now it's on you to actually implement. So it's a huge tool that like I said, I wish I had back in the day.
And the only things I would add to that is you're also getting daily education from headquarters. So obviously you're going to get the education from us with your weekly check-in. So you get a weekly check-in with us as long as you do what we ask of you, which is really pretty minimal when it comes down to it. But you also get the daily education within there, like, hey, how does alcohol affect me? What should I be picking at a restaurant, and how do I make that choice? And what is pre-logging and what is pre-tracking? And that way you're never alone, whether it's through our community, through HQ, or through our daily announcements that we do in there as well. So we can reach out to all the clients I have. He can reach out to all the clients he has with just a daily notification of, guys, remember, it's the weekend coming up. And there's just a lot of different things, not to mention the weekend review. So it's a really, really great way to see, how have I done? Am I being honest with myself when I am saying I did 10 out of 10 this week? I really gave it my all. If you look at that weekend review and you haven't hit protein all but 3 days, are you really doing all you can? And that's something we are able to utilize and not throw back in your face, but say, hey man, like, Josh, I see that you're definitely putting in effort. but can we honestly say that this is a 10 or is this more like a 6? Cool. Let's self-evaluate so that we have realistic expectations instead of expectations to the moon when we're working for ground level. So how can we set these expectations and put you in a place where it's like, you are always going to get what you work for, but you have to be realistic with how much work you're putting in to get that result.
Yeah.
And that's what I love most about the app.
Yeah. And it's the human factor behind it, right? It's like, hey, what is Josh going through today that I can help him overcome? Right? Because it's not just about, hey, you're eating this amount of protein or carbs or fats, right? It's like, hey, what's stopping Josh, right? That he knows the information. I give it to him every single day, but from a human to a human, I could say, hey, look, Josh, what's going on, dude?
What's going on here?
Are you stressed out at home? Like, is work kicking your ass? Like, what's going on, right? And that is something that you don't see a lot out there when it comes to that, right? Like, you have to pay a ridiculous amount of money to work with a nutritionist, and they give you that, but you have to pay a ridiculous amount. When we have this particular app for what it costs people to go out to have a freaking cup of coffee, right? So to me, like I said, looking back, the biggest advice I could give anybody is, use this app, because it's such a powerful tool that a lot of people are not utilizing.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll be real. If it weren't for this app, I wouldn't be where I am physically, emotionally. If it weren't for the First Form community, I wouldn't be. And I think a lot of it is because I finally put myself out there to have somebody check in on me, to have that accountability, to now, okay, if I don't do the things I said I was going to do, I'm not just letting myself down, I'm letting somebody else down. And here's the deal with any individual. We are always going to give up on ourselves first, but if somebody else is expecting something from us, we are more willing to show up. And I know that that's been a huge part of my journey. Like, okay, well, my coach said I better hit my protein. And if I check in next week and I haven't hit my protein, I have somebody to answer to, not just myself in my own little tracking of a diary. So having that one-on-one, that human interaction of expectations, standards, that sort of a thing, it builds that ability within you as well. And that's been huge. And I would say probably the same for you. That's where you really started to take off on your journey too.
I think what hit me the most, that got me actually to follow through on everything, it was like, you have to take pictures, right? And let's be realistic. When we take pictures and we self-evaluate that way, if we're not where we want to be, and you have to face that, and you have to look at those pictures and really face the reality of where you're at and not be happy with yourself. Like, to me, that was the biggest factor, that I have to submit these pictures every single week to a person, right, that's gonna look at these pictures. Yeah, like it's not just I'm keeping these for myself. I have to do a weigh-in. I have to take a picture, and I'm currently not happy with where I'm at, right? That was like me back in the day. So I'm like, crap, I need to change that. And I really needed that. And I know that a lot of people out there are the same way. You can download other apps that you could track your macros, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get that accountability that you get with a real human, So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy to me when I first got the app, and it's $12.99 a month. And to know that you get one-on-one coaching from an actual person that actually cares, that to me was like crazy, because when I had first started my my health journey, when I decided to start 75 Hard back in August of last year, I was like just kind of looking around at like, how much does it cost for people to make like a meal plan for me, or how much would it cost to find somebody to like build workouts? And I'm like, man, this is like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I just don't want to spend that right now. Like, I don't have that to spend on, like, I imagine if I would have told my wife, hey babe, so in order for me to get healthy, I need to go and spend a couple $1,000s to make sure that, I'm making all the right decisions, and they're probably not even going to follow up with me, but they're going to make a plan for me, and it's up to me to stick to it. That's what I love about the First Form app, is it's affordable. Christian, you said it, it's a cup of coffee. Like, literally, don't go to Starbucks once. Like, sacrifice the coffee and breakfast sandwich one time and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally just one stop at Starbucks, right? That could potentially change your freaking life, you know? So to me, it's a very valuable tool. I still, to be honest with you, Josh, I still have notebooks where I used to do my macros, right? Like in a freaking notebook, right?
Oh man.
I found it and I was like, good Lord, this is like freaking ancient shit, right? I'm like, I used to do macros on a notebook before I had this app, you know, and this app just completely changed everything. So I think a big factor for us is like sharing that from a perspective of like, man, I've been there. Right. I've been there and I know exactly what you're going through. And I guarantee you that the $12.99 a month that you're going to spend on this is definitely going to change your life if you just actually, you know, follow through with it.
And we've been fortunate enough to where, like, obviously we're super supportive of one another. But when he was doing his macros in a notebook, I was the one bringing home a pizza and being like, do you want a piece? And he said no. So I'm eating the whole damn pizza by myself, but I'm going to eat that damn pizza.
Right.
And it turned into, okay, now I'm really focusing on it. And he wasn't necessarily bringing home a pizza, but he sure as shit wasn't following something I was. And it was never like, I can't believe you're eating that. And it wasn't a negative environment, but it did make it more difficult. So ultimately where we currently are, people are seeing that and saying, well, you don't understand. It's a lot harder for me at home. And don't get me wrong. A lot of people do have it harder than what I just expressed. But we've been there. We have been on our own trying to do it. And we understand how hard it is. And that's, again, where that community came from. So that we understand and we can help you through it. And we understand that when you are making these kind of changes, yes, it sounds like it's diet and nutrition and it's fitness and wellness, but it is so much more. Yeah. It is so much more that 9 times out of 10 in our community, we're not even talking about health and wellness. We're talking about relationships and we're talking about mindset and we're talking about things that are oh so difficult that you would have never thought picking a protein source would have like spiraled you down.
Going back to the app and then the community and thinking about the benefit that you guys provide and all of that. And knowing that, you know, so I made a metaphor on my last podcast about approach the climb. And, you know, I don't even mean to do it, but literally thinking about this scenario is like, you all have climbed the mountain, right? Like you've kind of paved this path and put markers along the way. It's like, watch out, there's snakes up here on your left. Like, hey, make sure you go right here. Don't go left or you're going to fall off the cliff. And for people like me that kind of were stepping into that, you guys were up there like and coming down when you needed to and help it, like just seeing that analogy in my head of people approaching their climb is super cool and awesome that you guys are able to provide that environment for people to, and like you said, it's a lot more about your nutrition and about your fitness. Like that's obviously a huge piece of it, but you can't have that unless you have your mindset right, unless you have your environment right and the people that you're around. And those are the two, you know, people would probably think if I'm here on a podcast with you all today, we're going to talk about nutrition and fitness, which I think we did our fair share of, but we're going to shift now into more of those other things, that mindset and that environment, because those are the things that are crucial to making sure that your fitness and nutrition are leaving lasting changes, that it's not just a simple, oh, yep, I have my diet plan, I have my exercise plan, and I'm going to go execute. Oh, but I don't have people around me that are doing the same thing, or, you know, people in my own home aren't eating the same things that I'm eating. And this is getting really difficult. So, you know, we're going to rewind a little bit before the community came about, before you were fitness and nutrition coaches. Bridgett, I want to talk about your story a little bit and about kind of how mindset was able to help you overcome some of the struggles you had. You talked about playing college softball and going through an injury and multiple injuries. And, you know, let's talk about that a little bit and how you were able to forge some of your mindset back then.
In college, I had already by that time had 2 knee surgeries. My freshman year of college, I tore my labrum and I also needed my 3rd knee surgery at this point. So after starting college, my freshman year, I was a starting shortstop. I had an injury where I was diving back to first in mud and I slipped. So popped out my shoulder, tore my labrum. And then just with the way my knees are, basically at the age of 16, I was told by a surgeon that I would have total knee replacements by the time I was 30 years old on both knees. A genetic thing. So I was just like, well, cool, this is great. So at this point in my life, I was in a lot of pain still with my knee. So after my freshman year of college, I had the shoulder replaced, or not replaced. I had the shoulder repair on it was June 4th, and then I had my knee surgery on July 5th. So
Oh my
I went
gosh.
from being in a sling to a walker because I had just had shoulder surgery, so I couldn't be on crutches. So I went from a starting shortstop as a freshman to now being a benched medical redshirt my sophomore year. And I'm not gonna lie, I played the pity party. It was woe is me. How could this happen to me? What did I do wrong? Like, oh, poor me, right? Definitely did not have the right mindset. And junior year, came back and was still having some medical issues. Found out I had vertigo at the time, but all kinds of things where I was just dizzy and lots of things. So I was just a designated player. I was hitting, but I wasn't playing the field. Decided not to play my senior year, but I was definitely still not in the right mindset. It was still poor me. Why am I not getting the playing time when I'm having medical issues and all the things? And I would be in the shower crying, It wasn't, well, how do I get better? It was, this is happening to me, not for me. So fast forward, dated a guy that was shit. Things didn't really work out, and moved to Denver, found Christian. But that's when I started doing personal and group training pretty quickly after I graduated college. And I started the personal training thing and started to realize like I have a lot more in my control than I ever anticipated I did. I was doing what a lot of people do, and it's the easy way out of this is happening to me, and I have no control over my environment. I have no control over what's happening to me, when in reality, I wasn't looking at what could I do with the circumstances I'm given. And through personal training and helping others and really starting to I have no psychology background, but starting to learn through helping others, I've been able to help this person feel better, move better, eat better-ish at the time. Again, I was not the nutrition, y'all. But like, how can I help somebody else? And then I started to say, well, I'm helping these people. Why am I not doing this for myself? And then enter First Form. And we have the most amazing coach that he drills mindset left and right. So without Josh, not you, Josh, but you're pretty amazing too. But without Josh Stively, we likely wouldn't be where we are with mindset. So it's, again, finding the right people and I'm sure you'll probably go over this with environment, but who you surround yourself with, what you watch, what you listen to, what you eat, that's all part of your diet. That is all the things that you are consuming. Might not be through this hole, but it's going through some hole to get you the things that you are learning, whether it's your eyes, your ears, your mouth, whatever it is, you are consuming something, and how is that affecting you? So that's kind of where my mindset has really switched. I went from victim, trying to change that, to victor. And no matter what comes my way, I haven't died yet. I have overcome anything and everything that has come my way. What makes anything else different?
Yeah, I think one of the things you just said there is it's a huge perspective change. And I think it's been something that I've almost talked about on every single podcast is you mentioned this is happening to me, not for me. And I think when we can switch up that mindset, like it would have probably been easy for you in high school when you were having knee replacements and things like that to be like, this is woe is me. This is happening to me. I'm going to stop playing sports. I'm going to go down into a deep pit of depression and never going to find my way out. So for you to kind of have that perspective shift and now able to provide that shift for other people and saying like, look, I've been where you are. I know what it's like. And knowing how you have to change those things is crucial.
One of my other favorite things that that Josh said is, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. And that one, it's like any time where I'm like, I'm in a bad spot. Well, am I just going to sit in it, or am I going to change it? Yeah. And if I don't change it, then I'm choosing to stay right where I am. And those things are like the biggest things that just stay in my head. If you're not changing it, you're choosing it.
Seriously, that kind of hits me a little bit right now too. Cause like there's things, I had the 75 hard, I'm I'm getting back. I'm trying to like get back on tracking and things like that in the app. Christian, sorry. Also didn't submit my assessment this past week, the first time forever. So my bad. But I think about like, if I'm even that, like if I'm not changing it, I'm choosing it. And so thinking about the things that I have going on in my life, or even when, I was yelling at my kids all the time, I used to think like, oh, I'm just doing that because my mom yelled, and that's who I am as a parent. And I don't have to change it. I've tried to change it. It's me. But just like you said, if I wasn't actively changing it, I was that is powerful.
Yeah.
And that's not to say Christian and I don't go through this. I mean, we'll have a bad
Right.
day. We'll have something that, somebody cut us off and we're like, and, we allow each other to blow off some steam. We're a soundboard. It's okay, babe. But now, how does that truly affect you for the next 5 minutes?
Yeah.
How does it truly affect you for the next year? It doesn't. So feel better? Cool. Move on. And we still have hard situations where how do we handle this? And that's not to say that sometimes we don't sit in that pity and sometimes we don't feel our feels, but we allow ourselves that moment and then we try to find a way to change it.
Yeah, we don't participate in that. No, to tie into that, to be honest with you, it's the biggest thing I tell people is like, you're allowed to feel a certain way. You're allowed to feel emotions. You're allowed to, be sad, happy, angry, whatever, or get angry at that driver, right? What you're not allowed to do is continue to stay there. Like if you continue to stay in that state, right, of that bad energy, then that's something that you're tolerating and you're allowing that. So it kind of goes into, what you were saying, but it's okay to feel all those things. It's okay to have those feelings, and it's okay to go through things in life. But what is not okay is to constantly stay there, right? Especially if it's not serving you in any sort of way, positive way.
Just thinking about mindset, and Bridgett, you even said this a little bit, and you started to kind of go into environment and the people that you're around, the communities that you're a part of. And, I think about the jobs that I've had in the past that I've hated the most. It's been because everyone there has also hated their job. And that's what you talk about. Like, if you're at work and you hate your job and you bring it up to somebody else, they're going to talk about how they hate it. And that becomes like the new norm. And so thinking about the community and thinking about your guys' coach as well, Josh, the couple of calls that I've been on with him have been phenomenal. And just the full community of support and all of these things, and getting your mindset right and providing you that environment to really help you thrive and kind of crush past, a lot of these barriers that we're going to hit along the way, I think is huge, especially thinking about mindset. Having that community is a massive thing. And Christian, one of the things you talked about in your story is kind of having some limiting beliefs and you changing your environment up to be able to help you out in that. So talk about maybe what some of your limiting beliefs were and how you were able to find a community or an environment to help you out in that.
Yeah, man. So, you kind of talked about it a little bit, and, you said that just because you grew up in a certain environment, right, that you felt like it was okay to be a certain way, right, to your kids or your family, whatever. And, same thing, I think we always get tied to that. And we, looking back, and it's like, I didn't even grow up in a healthy, family where it was like we're eating healthy options and we're eating freaking protein and all the things that we eat now, right? It was like completely unhealthy. So that was the path that I took because I didn't know any better, right? I didn't know any better. That's what I knew, and that was my identity at the time, right? Not doing really good things overall in general with my health, like drinking and doing all these stupid things. And the tide shifted right in a direction where I found the gym, and I started looking into fitness, and then into nutrition and all that stuff. But like the limiting beliefs were like I am what I am because of the people around me that did this to me, right? It's kind of like, hey, it's happening to me, not for me, right? So I took that and I ran with it. I was like, it's easier to say it's somebody else's fault that I eat like shit or I drink or whatever, right? Rather than changing the circumstances. So for me, it completely changed when I found the gym. At the time, like I wasn't surrounded by, Bridgett that was like actually in the training space. I didn't know anything about fitness. I didn't know anything about nutrition, but I found a gym because they opened a gym by my house, right? And I, wanted to fill my time and my space with something else. And it's something that kind of caught my eye. And I walked into that gym, and day one, I signed up. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know shit, right? And, as I started to go to this gym, I realized that, there's people that wanted to get better within this community, right? They were there every single day. They were there, constantly, pursuing something better, right? And at the time, like I was surrounded by, growing up with a Hispanic family, like it was always food, and it wasn't necessarily good food, right? It's always bad food. And,
it's good food.
It's good, not necessarily
right.
bad, right?
It tastes good.
Yeah, it's really good. But at the same time, right, it wasn't aligned with the direction that I wanted to go, right? So it took, tough conversations and, real discipline to say, hey, like I can't have these foods because of, this particular goal. So, in that space, as you start to shift and you start to change, people around you start to question what you're doing, right? Because it doesn't align with the old version of you, right? The people that knew you in high school, the people that knew you in middle school, they know the old version of you, right? The shitty version of you, right? So as you start to change in a positive direction, you tend to lose a lot of those people along the way because they can't get past the fact that you're changing in a positive way, right? Because they only see that you're trying to be somebody that you're not in their eyes, right? But sometimes we have to shed that old person that doesn't belong in our lives anymore, right? It's okay to let go of that. It's okay to change. It's okay to, try new things and adventure and become somebody else. And, losing some of those relationships, right? It was, the best thing that ever happened. Like as you go and you realize that people don't align with your path and your journey, it's okay. Like nobody is there they don't have to, right? They don't have to understand. But as I started to, focus on my nutrition, focus on going to the gym, I stopped saying yes to other shit, right? And other things that, I was no longer interested in, like hanging out on a Friday night. You know what I'm saying? Like hanging out on a Saturday night. I'd rather go to the gym and spend time with the people that were committed here. And that was my new path. And, along the way, even those hard conversations had to happen with family members, right? Because I would show up to certain events and they would be like, hey, why aren't you eating this? And I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm actually, I'm following this, diet, or I'm trying to do this, is aligned with my goal. And then having to deal with them not understanding was a big thing, right? They'd make fun of you. They would, try to pressure you into eating all this crap and, not coming from a bad place at all, right? But, when you're in a journey, you want as much support as possible, especially if you're doing something freaking hard, right? So not getting that, it just kind of built me up, right? And I was like, okay, cool. I learned a big lesson that just because you're on a journey doesn't mean that everybody around you is going to be, or they support you, right? And that's where it shifted to aligning with the people that are going through the same things as you and the same struggles. And then you find your tribe, right? And as you slowly shift with that tribe, one of the biggest things that I always say is like, I always want to look for the people that are doing better than me in the direction that I want to go, whether it's business, fitness, nutrition, whatever it is. I always want to surround myself with the people that are doing way better than me, because I have something to learn, right? I want to be the dumbest person in that room, and I want to learn of all these people every single time, right? I'm not going to take advice about money with somebody that's broke, right? Like I'm going to take advice from somebody that, has multiple businesses, that has investment properties, the things that I want to do. That's the direction that I want to go. No offense to people, in the past, or people that have, came and gone, like not at all. You choose your path, but at the same time, like there's a certain direction that I want to go, and that's how I'm going to align myself. And so, you have to realize that, and you have to be okay with people coming into your life and leaving. And, sometimes those people are only meant to be in your life for a certain period of time, and then they leave, right? So to me, it was like having those tough conversations with people and just really avoiding all the noise that was going on around me, and just saying like, hey, this is who I'm becoming, and I'm okay with this, right? Not everybody has to agree. And so, that's really, really hard. And, tying that back to the community, we can go back in there and still see those people that are going through the same things. And I could reach out to them and say, hey, I've been there. Hey, Josh, I've been there, dude, right? Like, this is what you're going to experience, and this is how I can help you out, right? Let's make this a little bit less painful for you and the people around you, but just know that you always have people to fall on, right? So to me, it was like, when you accept that you're no longer that version of you when you were in middle school or high school, right? When you accept that, things change, like completely change, right? I still talk to obviously people from high school, very little. I think have like maybe actually have like two people from high school that I talk to that are my really, really good friends, right? And they've seen that change, right? They've seen me just completely shift and go in a different direction. And, I always say, like, those people that are still in my life, that they stuck through the process that I've been through, those are true friends for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's important to have those true friends that kind of reign out through your whole life. And then, for me, I think I'm lucky enough. Like, you all have met my parents now. Like, my parents are probably the most supportive people in my life. Between my parents, my wife, my siblings, and my close friends, like, I have this, and I think I sometimes take that for granted, because I know there's people out there that their families are not on board with where they want to be, and they have to completely shift their environment. They have to cut these family ties. So, just for people out there that are making these changes, definitely lean into the supportive people in your life. Don't think that you have to completely change everybody, but know that in some cases it may be a point where you're going right and everyone else is still heading left. And
And
unless
it's
you want
okay.
to keep getting, yeah, and it's okay. You don't have to get pulled back over that way. You could say, hey, we can still talk from time to time, but I'm not going to go out drinking every weekend, or I'm not going to go out to all you can eat wing night and just, well, I mean, that's
Right.
a lot of protein. So
People
maybe.
Yeah. We always say, like, people are in your life for a reason or for a season. And depending on where that is, like, you have to be okay with, maybe you've outgrown them. Maybe they've outgrown you. Maybe your desires in life just don't align anymore. And that doesn't make somebody a bad person, but it does make them a bad person for where you are. And sometimes, whether you are cutting out a habit or cutting out a bad relationship, sometimes that's what it takes. And as hard and lonely as growing and really pouring into yourself can be, it's necessary for that growth. Like he was saying, like, you are going to be somebody else, and you have to live as if to get there, which in the wrong people's eyes, you're an imposter. In the right people's eyes, whatever path you're on, I want to go with you. And how can I cheer you on to get you there? And those people who see you as an imposter, they don't understand what you're going through, and they're not going to be the ones helping you. And at that point, you have to say, thank you, but no thank you, and make that choice.
Yeah, and you have to be real with yourself too, right? Like, if you're headed in the right direction, right, and you're headed in a path of growth, right? Like, you're doing the right things every single day, and you're, becoming 1% better every single day. Like, the people that don't understand, like, are just not, they're not going to understand. They're not on the same frequency as you, right? And, it's okay. It's allowing them to, come and go. And it's, it's the process that everybody talks about, right? And I think sometimes, those people get caught up in not wanting to let go of the old version of you. And, you have to let go of that old version of you to become somebody new. And, you realize who is aligned with you and actually cares, because they're going to actually be there for you, right? It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might take 6 months for them to understand that, hey, Josh is a completely different dude, right? He's not the same Josh that used to go out on Friday night and get, drunk or have those, 25 wings anymore, right? Now he's choosing to spend, 4:30 a.m. wake up, go to the gym in the morning, spend time on himself, read 10 pages of a book, right? Grab your breakfast, and then spend the rest of the day with your family and doing family activities,
And
right?
don't forget the 5 minutes of freezing in his ass, like freaking cold
Cold tub,
plunge.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right. So people, look at you, Josh, and you can kind of, relate to some of the friends maybe in your life that are like, man, where's the old Josh, right? So it's good, right? It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the core to that, the core to finding a new environment and being able to be confident in your conviction to get rid of those people is an identity and belief change. Like, you have to have that belief change in yourself and the confidence to know, I am this new person. I am going on this path. And Bridgett, like you said, it's like, it's okay if those people are, in my life for this season, and then they're steer out of it. Like, that's totally fine. People could say whatever they want to say, because I know who I am and I know where I'm going.
Absolutely.
And it's, you get made, it's so crazy. Like in the fitness industry, like when people start to change, you get made fun of. Like, it's crazy. Like, I think we've all experienced, like, people are like, oh, you're going to the gym again, or you're drinking protein again, like, or you're doing these things again. And it's crazy to me to, like, when people talk shit about, somebody that's like bettering themselves, like their health, their financial well-being, whatever it is in life. And like those people that talk shit, like, one of the messages that I want to give everybody is that, a lot of people reflect their insecurities on you, right? They reflect by their reactions to what you're doing. If it's a positive thing and people are reflecting in a negative way, you have to really, look at that red flag and say, like, hey, what's really going on here? And especially if you have a significant other that does that, right? In this realm, we've discovered that quite a bit, that, you find one person in a relationship really trying to level up, trying to change, trying to, build more confidence, trying to lose that weight. And then you have a significant other that's like sitting there that is either going to level up with you, or they're going to reflect in a negative way and try to hold you back down, right?
And then it's, oh, are you doing this so you can leave me? Oh, are you doing this because there's somebody else? And it's very negative and draws people back, and it prevents them from leveling up. And something that we've learned, and again, mindset, like, if there are things that are challenging you, if there are things that are making this that much more difficult, that means you're right on the cusp of getting to where you need to be. If it is easy, you're not doing it right. And I hate to say it, but if you're taking the easy pill, if you're starving yourself instead of learning how to actually nourish yourself, and if you're doing things that are the easy button, you're never going to grow from that. You always need to choose hard. That's what Andy Frisella would say, like, choose hard. That if yours A or B, and B is hard, choose B every single time.
There's lessons in the struggle.
There's lessons in the struggle.
There's lessons in the struggle that need to be had, right?
That's kind of why I was saying, like, sometimes you need to run right into that damn boulder. And sometimes we need to be like, listen, we tried, but this is something you need to figure out on your own.
Yeah. As humans, I think, we're in a constant, like, if you're a productive, human being, we're in a constant state of problem solving, right? Everything's a problem solve, right? Like, hey, what time am I going to go to the gym? Hey, what's the fastest way to, get to my job? Hey, what am I going to eat? We're constantly in a state of like problem solving, right? Some people could just do it better than others. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we still have that power to problem solve. And so the harder the problem, the more that you learn, right? Because you have to put a little bit more effort and time into that, right? That's struggle. So, doing hard things all the time, is a big, stepping stone in order for you to learn a lot about yourself. How do you handle that pressure, right? So I always, biggest thing is, like, do hard shit all the time. It's cliche, let's be honest, right? You hear this stuff all the time, but, like, the reason you hear it all the time is because it is so true. Do hard shit often, and you'll learn so much about yourself, and you'll build the resilience to do other things in your life that are hard, that are in the financial realm, the fitness realm, the nutrition, right? The family, where it's a constant path of growth.
There's so much power in doing hard things. And I'm going to link this podcast below, the one with Huberman Labs with David Goggins. I know you guys listen to that.
Awesome.
He talks about that portion of your brain, that willpower portion that controls this. And when you're doing hard things, like, your willpower is growing. And when you're not doing hard things, it's shrinking. So I was thinking about that as you were talking about it. It's like, man.
And it's funny you bring up David Goggins, because I too was thinking of, like, you get to heaven and is God going to give you this list of who you are or this list of who you are?
Right. Exactly.
Who could you have been?
Yep.
Right. And, some people are okay with being okay. Right. And, that's not the community that we want, right? That is not the community that we promote.
Because you get that everywhere.
Because you get that everywhere. You get that from people that are closest to you. You get that from coworkers. Like, hey, it's okay.
I know you had a bad day. It's okay. You're fine. You don't need to do that. Who needs to go to the gym when they're tired? It's fine.
And we come from a place where we know that you could be better. We know that you could do better. right? So I believe in you more than you believe in yourself right now. And this is why I'm here and talking to you, doing, you know, what we're doing. So hey, let's bring you back. Let's bring you up, you know?
I love that so much. And, you know, for the people out there that are listening that maybe have not started their health journey, maybe they have some of those limiting beliefs, kind of like you talked about, Christians, like, yeah, I grew up in a home where this is what we ate and I'm still eating it now. You know, I'm 30, 40 years old. I haven't changed anything. Um, I know, because I know there's a lot of people out there like that. And I think it's so easy to just pass by life and not make the change. It's the easy button. Like you said, Bridgett, it's like so easy to just hit that easy button and move along. But that's not the community that's going to help you grow. That's not the community that's going to help you be better. So for people out there that might be in this position where, you know, they're in the valley and they're kind of looking up at this mountain they have to climb, and, you know, these limiting beliefs they have to pass, and maybe they have some injuries in their life, you know, what's your all's advice for them on how they can get started, even if it's just making one change today? What's something that they can do to start making themselves better?
I was going to say making one change a day. Exactly that. So many people are thinking 5 years down the road before they've even taken their first step. And you just don't get so lost in the freaking weeds that you can't even take that first step into the journey. You've just got to be willing to trip, fall, make a total ass of yourself, because we've done that time and time again. We have screwed up. We are not perfect. Nobody is perfect on this journey. You will screw up, whether it is fitness, nutrition, career, family, God, whatever it is that you are searching to be better with. You're going to trip, you're going to fall. But the only way you ever learn is taking that first step. And that's my recommendation. And don't be afraid to ask for help. For me, I'm I have an ego, I would say, that, you know, I have a master's degree. Of course I know best. You know what I mean? And it's like, the hell I do. The more I learn I don't know. And there's so much more to learn. But how am I going to get there if I think I'm going to do it on my own? Like,
right.
Reach out to those people, be the dumbest person in the room, and be okay with that. Be confident in the fact that, you know what, I'm just trying to do whatever I can to better myself. That might put me in some uncomfortable situations, but growth doesn't happen in comfort. So take that first step.
Exactly. You know, my biggest advice would be like, you know, surround yourself with people that have done that, what you want to do, right? So seek out for that help, just because, again, and as much as we want to think that this is a solo mission, right? We can learn a lot from a lot of people that have been through the journey, right? Find those communities, find that coach, find that friend, find that mentor, right? I think if you surround yourself with, you know, people that have, you know, been through that path, right? Trail, you could really understand and set yourself up for success rather than thinking that you have to do it all alone. And, you know, give yourself a break, because life is hard, right? Life, it will punch you in the freaking mouth. And sometimes, guess what? We could do stuff, you know, set up for the week, right? Sometimes it's going to be days at a time that we're going to have to handle certain things. Sometimes it's hours that we can handle stuff. And sometimes we're going to be surviving by the minute, right? So it's one of those deals where it's never a linear path to success with whatever it is that you do. But I personally think that if you surround yourself with people that have been through or are where you want to be, surround yourself with those people, seek out, ask them questions, seek those people out, and, you know, soak everything up, and just realize that you can't go through this alone. You have to seek out help.
So for you guys, if I can sum that up in a sentence, it's find the community and take one step in that direction.
Yeah.
And the rest is if you find that community, you're going to end up getting there where you want to be. And, you know, this is I'm going to have the community link below, the Fight Like Hell Fitness community. If you're on Facebook, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're looking to make a change, seriously, scroll down, click the link, and join. You're going to find people that are just like you, that are wanting to be better in their lives. And I think that this journey is not one that's meant to do alone. Like, to go out and try to make these changes on your own, I'm sure there's people that can do it, but it's going to be a heck of a lot easier if you find that community and you're just making sure you're taking those right steps to get where you want to be. And like Bridgett and Christian have both said, you're going to hit those barriers. You're going to hit those boulders. You're going to not know what to do, but that's where you can fall back on the community a little bit and the habits that you built in your own life to be able to get you over that hump. Bridgett and Christian, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for giving us a little more insight about your journeys, talking about mindset, talking about environment, a little bit about fitness and nutrition, because we know that the mindset and environment are way more important than those things. And just being open and being able to share some of your experiences, share what people can expect from the app if they decide to join that, which I'll have that link down below as well. And the community, the Fight Like Hell Fitness community. So thank you all for doing this with me. It was a real honor. It's an honor for me to be able to call you all my coaches and the people that are helping me out along my journey. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Dude, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
Like, this means a lot to us, because we appreciate your time. We appreciate what you're doing here. And I think, overall with what you're doing, your mission here with the podcast, you're going to change a lot of people's lives too. So look, forward to future episodes that you have, because they're all awesome.
They've been great. Yeah, it's an absolute blessing for us to be on here. And thank you so much for allowing us to help what you're providing and allowing us to help you now help others. That's what we're all about, is whatever you take, you pay it forward. And you have done an absolute amazing job at that, my friend.
Yep. And make sure you get your assessment in, all right?
Yeah. I got you. I'm not going to miss another one. I'm not going to lie. When I didn't submit it, I was like, dude, I already know that Christian is probably looking for mine and he's not seeing it. So
no, man, I'm going to be honest. Like, you've been one of the most consistent people, right? As far as, showing up every single day, doing what you're supposed to, and, continue to do that, because you're showing up. You're obviously, trickling that into the people around you, your mom, your dad, right? Your sister, everybody, your whole family is seeing the journey. And that is why we do this, right? It is because of that. You're affecting the people around you by having this podcast and leading from the front. So, just continue to lead from the front, man, because you're doing freaking awesome.
Thanks, y'all. I really appreciate it. And for all you listening out there, thanks for being a part of the show today as well. Make sure you share this out. If you found any benefit in it, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave us that 5-star review. And for me, Bridgett, and Christian, we all wish you the best on your personal climb to success.